there's a theory that when you get obsessed with an artist or anything, it's because they reflect something that you have, in some sort of
Mm.
way. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, man, and I remember that in an Italian show in my school, I sing Bad Romance, and I did like whole interpretation. Um, and that's when I think that my parents started like kind of to believe that maybe this is something that I was capable of, that I really wanted. I remember that my parents are super conservative. Siempre han sido
Mm-hmm.
muy conservadores. Entonces, so, I wanted to study musical theater, but I had to leave the country for that. And my parents were like, no, you're not leaving. No, hell no. And la directora of my school was the one who told them, like, you need to leave this, you need to take this girl, leave, deja que esta niña haga lo que quiera hacer, como que, bro, you need to have faith in this. Like, she really believed in me. She convinced my parents to actually let me do that. So I think that, I mean, that inspiration, I don't think it came from my family exactly, but it was like, it was from the culture that was like surrounding me in that moment.
Oh my gracious.
Even back in high school, Jennifer inspired more than
Él cambia la imagen por vender bitcoins.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga.
O sea, that's where I go whenever I feel like my brain is fried. I'm like, I need to stay at least 2 nights in Las Terrenas. Just like walk, de calza, putting
Uh-huh.
my feet on the sand, just to freaking disconnect from the matrix.
Do you find like that's like your happy place, DR? Like, is that the place where you go to just like recalibrate, decompress? Like, is that like your go-to?
It depends because I live here, so sometimes it can get super hectic. This can be my happy place, but it can also be like, my chaotic place. I work a lot here, so that's why I was saying, like, La Terrena is definitely a place where I don't associate with, like, productivity, for example. And
Mm.
it's so beautiful. That's my go-to if I want to, like, go within, actually, like, go back to myself. But also like traveling in general, especially with, my friends and my partner, to somewhere I've never been. It's also a way to just like escape, siempre y cuando, it's not, if I travel for work, it's also super, super nice. Some of my best travels have been like for work, but it's so, I'm the kind of girl that is very, it's hard for me to unplug. So I know that I need to force myself to unplug. So if I go to Las
You
Terrenas, or if I
must.
go to somewhere else that it's not related, in any way to, like, doing a concert or anything, that's where I really take advantage to that, phase of just resting and, just uh recouping. I don't know if you can say that, pero sí como que,
Yeah.
repararme en un sentido.
I want you to take me back to the sala. Like, what were your sala vibes like with your family? What novelas were you watching? What music were you listening to? What food were you eating? Like,
Oh my
paint me that picture
God.
of like how you grew up.
I love that question. It's like the the whole perspective. I was like, is she talking about an actual sala?
The
Um,
sala, girl, the
La
sala sala.
Sala. I mean, definitely, Los Rosarios was playing, El Mayimbe too, Milly Quezada, definitely. I remember that my mom was such a fan of Milly. And I do remember that once my sister, my older sister, had a friend. She was like, I mean, like Milly was her aunt, and we were just like, I was super small, and we went to pick pick her up because she was my sister's friend, and Milly was there, and well, like, she was like kind of starstruck. But yeah, Milly was playing, and telenovelas. Well, definitely, La Usurpadora. I was like, and it's so funny.
Oh,
Like,
that's my favorite one.
I love it. And I get so inspired by the whole telenovela drama. And it's so fun to be alive in this kind of like moment where it's not embarrassing to say that telenovelas were part of your culture. Because I mean, and I remember I had like I and that was all I watched when I was a little girl. And it's so funny because telenovelas are not for like kids. But I
Correct.
remember that I watched La Usurpadora, Soñadoras, Abrázame Muy Fuerte, Rubí, obviously, which one? Amigas y Rivales. Of what else? Carta Salvaje. Oh, that was my favorite. That was one of my favorites. And yeah, and when you say Sala, definitely it brings me to Christmas time also. I mean, telenovelas were playing all year round, but when you say sala
Hmm.
and music and food, it brings me, Christmas is such an important part of, such an important evening for us Latinos. And in my case, that's one of como que uno de los pocos momentos en que mi familia toda puede, get together. And the food, patelón de plátano maduro con carne molida, definitely.
Yes.
Uh, lasagna, Dominican lasagna, because obviously Dominican lasagna with frito verde, and
Hmm.
some like pan de rueda.
Do you
Also,
cook? Just
I
asking, do you
cook,
cook?
I cook, but I mean,
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good at cooking. I'm good at following recipes, but I get so lazy cooking. I'm the kind of girl that loves to eat the same thing every day because I don't like to spend like mental space in terms of what I'm gonna eat today. So I cook the same shit over and over again. And but
Yes.
if I want to get creative and I want to look up on a recipe, se me da bien. I gotta say it. Though my kitchen is super small, so it's like, sometimes I'm like, I'm the kind of girl that says I'm gonna enjoy cooking when I get to, have full kitchen. I don't know how many square meters. It's enough for me. I don't know if that's an excuse. But yeah, I cook and it depends on the era that I'm in. But I'm super like practical. I'm very practical.
What are you making?
I'm
Like,
making
what are
like
some of the things that you're making?
so for example, today, any day, I don't have breakfast. Well, it depends. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I have like breakfast lunch. But yeah, I drink my coffee with milk, or regular milk or MCT oil. And
Okay.
yeah, I'm that bitch. I'm like that, biohack bitch
Yes.
because I heard that MCT oil was good for you. And shit, like give me the MCT. But it's super
Yes.
good. Also, it tastes like a creamer, so I enjoy it. And sometimes, for example, yesterday what I had for breakfast, like at 11 a.m., so it was kind of like a lunch. It was like boiled eggs with sardinas and sauerkraut.
Mm.
That's like very I love it. I love how it tastes. It's a very like high protein breakfast, but it keeps me full for until the night. Sometimes I don't have breakfast and I just cook a meat, a very like dense meat, like I don't know, sirloin, ribeye, anything like that. Um,
Hmm.
and at night I do it like I do a heavier choice. I am obsessed with cepa de apio. I don't know if you've tried it. Have you tried cepa de apio?
What is that? Can you
It's
like
a
break that
vívere.
down for me?
It's like a
Okay.
tubérculo.
Okay,
It's
okay.
another kind of
Okay.
tubérculo. It's like a
Hmm.
mix of yuca and papa. It's kind of like if
Okay,
the
okay.
yuca and papa had a daughter, it's cepa de apio. So, so there are many presentations of cepa de apio. I love to do like fritos of cepa de apio in my air fryer, and then I do like fried chicken, baked fried chicken because I do it in the air fryer. I do like pink sauce, salsa rosada with mayo and ketchup to put my fake pechurinas and my cepa de apio.
Yes.
And then after that, I always crave something sweet. It can be maybe some Greek yogurt with fruits. If I have some chocolate, I can do chocolate. And if I have some grapes, I'll do grapes. Yeah, yeah, I need to close up with something sweet. But normally, like that's what I eat every day until the weekend arrives where I just freaking order food. And I love
You're
sushi
just
and
going
I
crazy on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean crazy in a really like kind of a balanced sense because I order some sushi. I can order some Dominican food also. I can order some pollo horneado with rice and habichuela. And I think like that Dominican food is like super balanced. I think that it has the protein, it has the carbs, it has the fiber, whatever. Also, I love meat, like I said, so I can just like order meat with maybe some pasta, maybe some different kind of rice, I don't know, paella, whatever. Whatever I'm craving. Indian food, I love. There's a Indian place that I love to order. So yeah, I keep it variado.
So let me ask you, because yes, you love all this food, but you seem very health conscious. Is that something that you like your family taught you, or is this something that as you became an adult, you just kind of like took like little tips and tricks from like maybe other people that you saw were eating this way and you just got accustomed to this lifestyle? Because by the way, you're super fit. I don't know if anyone has seen her arms, but her arms are like amazing.
Well, thank you, thank you. My family, it's so funny that you asked that. For example, my dad was always like super, he was fit. He was very disciplined. He used to run all his life. And he plays golf. He also plays, he used to bike also. Like that image I did had it from my dad specifically, but my family never like I thankfully I never had the kind of like parents that push me to eat in a certain way, do certain kind of exercise. I'm the youngest of three siblings, so I have the theory that when I came to this world, my parents were just tired, and they're like, you do you. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were, I tried everything, but they never like actually pushed me to be a certain way. But I did watch my dad just like be super. I remember that it's funny because now I'm kind of like that. He ate the same thing over and over again. He, in very like good kind of very balanced meal. And I just watched that, going on. When I was young, well, actually when I was little, I was always, kind of chubby. And I wasn't the kind of girl that was fixated. Like I wasn't obsessed. I didn't care actually. And I do remember that, and
Mhm.
I still love to eat. I'm like, that's why I exercise because I love to eat so much that I gotta do it. I gotta sacrifice a little bit so I can enjoy, eating delicious food. But I was never like, I was living my life, eating delicious food. And I do remember that, and one time, some, that family always have, there's always someone in the family que te dice un comentario fuera de lugar. And obviously, because I was a little chubby, there was a tia that said like, oh, this and that. And another tia was like, how old are you? And I'm like, I don't remember how old I was. I was maybe 12, and I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, 12. And she was like, you do whatever you like. When you turn 15, then you can start thinking about maybe, I don't know, going into a diet. I don't know, if that was like si eso fue un comentario sano or whatever, but when I turned 15, that's when I was like, yeah, maybe I should think about what I'm putting in my mouth. So I kind of like
Mm,
started just like digging into nutrition, how it works. And I obviously, as a teenager started, empecé a ver resultados en ese sentido. Me empecé a sentir como bien, eh, but I think that I was never someone who loved going, loved exercise. Never. I
mm,
remember that I tried, going to the gym and just, actually starting to liking it. And I was like, this is not for me, man. And one day, when I was like, I don't know, maybe 19, someone invited me to a CrossFit gym. CrossFit was like kind of starting. And I was like, hey, this is fun.
mm-hmm,
There's people here, there's community. And I just started enjoying it, like genuinely. So I started like seeing results and I kind of like, got obsessed. Y luego de eso, I was like, o sea, dio la casualidad de que el ejercicio, yo empecé, I started to actually enjoy it, que no fue hasta que
mm-hmm,
yo me lancé en mi carrera como música, que yo empecé a ver
mm-hmm,
como las ventajas, the advantages that, being fit, entre comillas, gave me on stage. So that's when I realized, okay, maybe this is important. Maybe I need to take decisions, because my body es mi escaparate. My body is my vessel, my
mm-hmm.
vehicle. Obviously, el cuerpo de todo el mundo es su vessel, pero para nosotras las personas que tenemos que, artists need to work almost like athletes. So for me, it's
Yes.
something super like crucial to take care of myself, and, en términos de cuerpo, y mente. That's why I was telling you before we started the reunion, like, when I need to unplug, I unplug. So it doesn't matter. Like if I need to, if I feel the necessity to put my feet on the sand for a couple of days, that's my body telling me because yo le exijo muchísimo, le exijo demasiado. And mentally also, like, sometimes when I get into the studio and I'm just like, sentada for hours, but I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
writing shit down, I get so freaking hungry. I'm like, what the fuck? How do I get
Do
so
you?
hungry? I do get super hungry and I'm like, why is this? And it's like my brain is, burning calories. And it's like that's when I'm like, oh, man, that's why you need to, take care of the whole thing in de manera como 360. So yeah, as I get older, I see the benefits of, taking those actions, taking those decisions. So obviously, yo soy rigurosa con eso. I take it I take it serious.
It is very much like a mind, body, and soul type of situation. I was telling my producer earlier, like for me, when I got introduced to working out, was because I was overweight and I was in a place of frustration. And I had a friend of mine who kind of just had a conversation with me, and she said, "Hey, I think you should start working out." And I kind of thought she was like trying to like do a indirecto directo with me. Like I was like, huh? What you mean? I gotta start working out. And she was like, no, I feel like once you start seeing what hard work can do for your body, then you would apply that to everything in your life.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah,
huh.
that is so that
I was like, it's like a little.
and I'm so glad you said that because also one thing that I didn't add up is that I think if I'm here with you is because of like the discipline that training has gave me. And
Mm-hmm,
it's so life is kind of complicated nowadays, and I don't know how maybe the reflect of my dad just corriendo todos los días, waking up at 5 a.m. I don't know if that stayed with me in some sort of way, but inclinarme hacia el CrossFit, como que cogerle ese amor, definitivamente fue algo, it was crucial for me to, and also I did study musical theater in New York for 1 year and a half, and it was very physical too. And, they were super like, strict with times and like with punctuality, with it was kind of like um, not like a military academy, but yeah, it was estricto, bien estricto.
It was like a
So
boot camp.
yeah, it was like a boot camp. So that and also those kind of training, give me an idea of what also being an independent artist should be, in terms of having like your the right routine to, yeah, to just to get there, to be out there, not even to make it, but actually to be, you know, in this como que en el estándar. O sea, el estándar es súper exigente de por sí. So, that's some basic thing that you need to get to actually be considerate, ser considerado como que dentro de toda la gama de
Yes.
artistas y gente increíble que hay metiéndole, o sea, y haciendo cosas impresionantes.
I want to get into the music because there's so much to unravel. Girl, I could talk to you for hours, just so you know. I love the energy. Um, but I
Oh,
definitely want to get into the music. So you said you went to you did a year of musical theater.
yeah.
I as well went to school for the performing arts, and yes, there is a lot of like movement class that you do that's associated with just that type of like knowledge that you're gaining from like the entertainment industry. But my question for you is, where have you seen this? Like, did anyone in your family, was anybody in the entertainment industry? Like, where did you first see this example of what you're doing today?
Actually, um, in my family, I did not see it. It's
Okay.
so, it can be so random sometimes for how you like get somewhere. And it's like, yeah, I didn't see like como diríamos, like we'd say it in Spanish, como un expansor
Mm-hmm.
como que no, no tuvo un referente en sí. But I was always super like obsessed with the pop culture. I was like, watching MTV like 24/7. And also, I mean, I did have like a gift of, just, I did things from I was like super young. I don't know. Well, in the lado de mi papá, I've noticed that they can sing. Like sometimes when you found like my sister can sing, for example.
Okay.
My tia from the lado of mi papá, she's like sometimes she's just like, tarareando something and it's like, oh, nice. So I know that maybe that kind of, thingy came from my dad, but at the same time, from my mother's side, they don't sing, but they're more extrovertidos. Um,
Mm.
so it was maybe like a mixture of things. And then I was, I never sing in front of anybody, but my mom suddenly started like saying to her friends, like, "Oh yeah, she can sing," and I'm like, "What the fuck? Oh, what? ¿De dónde tú sacaste eso?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I can hear you sing when you're like," and she put me like in clase de canto and stuff like that. And then she found out about an audition that they were doing High School Musical on stage here. And yeah, I just auditioned and I was casted. I was like part of the ensemble, but it was like a very significant experience for me because that's when I find out that there was actually a career in musical theater. And I was like, that esa semilla just like, se puso ahí, como que empezó a germinar. And then I was like, I don't know, maybe 15 years old, and then Lady Gaga came out. And I remember that Lady Gaga was one of the first artists that I really got super obsessed. Like, and there was a time I was obsessed with Pussycat Dolls and Lady Gaga. Also, I really liked Fergie, and I was like, oh my God, I don't understand. And there's a theory that when you get obsessed with an artist or anything, it's because they reflect something that you have, in some sort of
Mm.
way. and I was like, I don't know, I was like, man, and I remember that in the talent show in my school, I sang that romance, and I did like full interpretation. Um, and that's when I think that my parents started like kind of to believe that maybe this is something that I was capable of, that I really wanted. I remember that my parents are super conservative. Siempre han sido
Hmm.
muy conservadores. Entonces, so, I wanted to study musical theater, but I had to leave the country for that. And my parents were like, no, you're not leaving. No, hell no. And la directora of my school was the one who told them, like, you need to leave this, you need to take this girl, leave, deja que esta niña haga lo que quiera hacer, como que, bro, you need to have faith in this. Like, she really believed in me. And she convinced my parents to actually let me do that. So I think that, I mean, that inspiration, I don't think it came from my family exactly, but it was like it was from the culture that was like surrounding me in that moment, that specific moment. And my also I do feel super grateful for of the school that I was. I mean, this is Dominican
Hmm.
Republic. Dominican Republic is very conservative in very general terms, and I was in Babeque. So
Hmm.
Babeque is a school that has really pushed artists, gente en el teatro, en la música, even en la política. Hay mucha gente en política que se graduó de Babeque, so I feel super grateful uh, for that education.
I want to touch on a few things that you just said. So, one, I want to touch on family because you often hear it like so much support comes from the outside, and maybe it's not even in your family.
Hmm.
Um, what this is a two-part question, but one, how did that make you feel when your family, although they did believe in you, it wasn't instant, right? It wasn't at first. It was because an outsider was like, no, this girl, she has something here. Pay attention to it. Let's feel this. And then two, like in terms of like you're watching the Pussycat Dolls, Fergie, Lady Gaga, like what was it about the artistry that kind of drew you into that?
Okay, so first part. It feels kind of weird when my family, kind of like said yes secondhand. That's how you say it?
Yeah.
Because I do think that, sometimes even nowadays, even now that I have like recognition, credentials, like I said, they have like a really different mentality than what I have. And, they did what they could with what they so, it's some things that some of the things that I do, they don't understand. They find it like super weird. So, you know, for me, they're very important people in my life, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes it's like, it gets it's not like a struggle because, I'm independent. I've been living on my own since, I mean, 10 years by now. But obviously, like you wanna feel like you want to feel not the support, but like the that you want to feel that they actually understand what is happening. I don't know if they understand. I do think they have this maybe, old school mentality, but it's fine, and they're super like sweet with me and they support me in the way that they can. But sometimes, yes, I wish they could just be less afraid because I know they did not that they didn't see it's not that they didn't see it, but it was that they were afraid because our parents grew up in a different time where things were more limited and they were more había más como cómo se diría como em, prohibiciones
Mm-hmm.
en términos generales. So,
Mm-hmm.
anytime that I go out and I use this kind of like, I don't know, if I dress with a leotard with my chiqui, mostrando el culo, lo que sea, it's like, what are they gonna say? What? Bro. Nobody's thinking about that. Nobody's thinking about that. They have this mentality that they think that an outfit is gonna determine your whole destiny, and it's not like that. So I do understand that, sometimes it's hard for them if they're like super restricted, and sometimes that I think that that restriction, me ha salpicado de alguna forma, and it gives me. I'm not gonna lie, it gives me it makes me insecure sometimes because I think that one of the most important things about someone is that our first like recognition or acknowledgement has to come from our parents or like very
Hmm.
close people. And my parents were no eran de ese tipo de personas que como que praise, their children. They were like super, okay, you want to do, okay, yeah, yeah, she's good. Oh yeah, yeah, she sings, but they never
Okay.
told me like face to face, like you are a good singer. They were like telling their friends, like, yeah, she sings, she's a good singer, but not to me. And it's so funny. I'm
All
like,
right.
what the hell, that's it's kind of like a weird mentality. But I do feel super grateful that at the end of it all, they bend themselves to actually let me be what I want to be, even though it's a battle. uh, until this day. Because I'm the little one. I'm the la más pequeña, and I'm a hembra. I'm a mujer. So,
Mm-hmm.
they can get a little fussy with that. And then second, what did I see on, Fergie and Pussycat Dolls? Oh, I remember this.
Yes.
There's a video of the Pussycat Dolls. That's the name of that song is Bottles Pop with Snoop Dogg. I remember that
Yes.
they all did like a split at the same time. And the split, they do like this. They start bouncing in the split. I'm like,
Yes.
I really and I started practicing splits like a crazy bitch. Like I
Oh.
remember that I got injured, and I even got injured. No,
No.
I don't even know why. I was like, I want to do that. There was something about about that split. I was like, I don't know. It was like it empowered me. I'm like, what these girls can do with their bodies, it's like, no, nothing compares. So yeah, I saw that. And also, Fergie, for example, she was not the classic, virtuous singer that she was not. Fergie wasn't like a Celine Dion, for example, or like a Christina Aguilera. She used to sing like very, very like chatty. Very. She used to do like all these chanteos, and I was like, no, I mean, interesting. And also Lady Gaga. I remember that when Lady Gaga came out, I hated it first.
Yeah.
Me ponía incómoda, and I was like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then she kept doing stuff, and I'm like, I hate her. I love her. What is this? What does this mean? And I'm like, maybe I have something like trapped, and this girl is like helping me do like, I don't know, sanación, whatever. So yeah, she was so era tan unapologetical, se dice así. And I'm like, I
Yes.
need
Yes.
this. I need this kind of like irreverencia. So, I just,
But I
I
feel like
got
you're like that. You're
really
so
well.
like that with your mute. Yes. I mean, the song that you released, and I want to get into it. Um, and I feel like I could relate because I kind of went through something similar, but good enough. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about good enough. It's one of your most
Oh,
vulnerable tracks that you have. I know, I hear it, and it's one of those songs where it's like, damn, I don't like it, but I like it because I'm going through it and I feel it, and it's what mind space do you have to put yourself in to release this song that is so vulnerable? It's talking about heartbreak, which I feel like many of us can relate to, but just to be able to exude this type of, how do you say it? It's just like one of those songs where you have to kind of go back into the pain of it all. in order to release that.
Yeah, so
Where does
uncomfortable.
that come from? Like, how do you, yeah, it's so uncomfortable, right? But like, you're just like putting it out. I know. Like, how do we get here? How do we get here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that to get there, you have to be, I think I had to be fully recovered in some sort of way.
Yeah.
And and that happens. Sometimes I write in the moment something that I'm feeling it, but if it's too reciente, it cringes me out. I'm like, I need to leave this for a moment and just, get to the other side and then look it up again and see what I feel. And that's actually what I did with Good Enough. I didn't write that song by myself. Julie, which is Julie, sorry. She's
Mm-hmm.
a singer, songwriter, producer, and she also has this project called Cathedral with Nico. They're two Colombians. They're amazing. They're super talented. And I remember that I had beforehand, I had a really like deep conversation with her, and I was like just talking about her, about the things that I was feeling lately, and then she came up with that like chorus, the main hook of Good Enough. She was like, she was based on some stuff that I told her, and then we ended up like finishing it together. And it's so funny because
Mm-hmm.
I do not. I released the song in a moment that I did not like feel. I did not felt heartbroken, it's so I was like ready to, yeah, to just be vulnerable, but at the same time, knowing that I was like kind of recovered. But also, Good Enough, it has this really special ingredient that it's not only it can only it, no solamente se puede tratar of de una relación, of that someone who broke your heart. It can be even like your career, and
Yeah.
at that moment I felt, that I was dealing with some personal stuff in terms of like professionally that actually like broke my heart. And I was like, I gave my entire life, my entire soul for, for this to happen. And then suddenly, just things just don't happen at the moment that you want to happen. Or people just, te dan la espalda, lo que sea. So, no solamente se trata como de una relación interpersonal, tú sabes, de amorosa en un sentido. So, yo también la interpelé un poco más también en esa perspectiva. But at the same time, it was super interesting I was scared actually because it was the first time that all my songs are about having fun and just being like, coqueta and flirting and just having a great time. So this was kind of new for me, but it was so refreshing. It was so, so, so refreshing how, people, you have no idea. This was one of the releases that people wrote me, que la gente me escribió en privado. Like,
Yeah.
girl, what you're doing with this song, like, thank you so much. You're just like, I've been, people, wrote me paragraphs of the things that they were dealing with. And I was like, damn, I was so encerrada en como el miedo de, uff, como voy a tener que exponerme. And at the end of it all, people that's the beauty of things. People are not even like thinking about you. They're watching themselves. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that teach me such an interesting lesson that anytime I'm afraid of something, because obviously I was afraid of, showing myself vulnerable, talking about that, even like singing in another like kind of matiz, changing the
Mm-hmm.
metal of my voice, even that, como mostrarme con la voz hasta un poquito más quebrada. And then suddenly it wasn't about me. It was about them. And I was like, bro, that's why we do what we do. So people can just
Mm-hmm.
appropriate about the narrative. Because
Mm-hmm.
then what's the point? What's the point? It's not about you. It's not about my ego. It's not about how people are gonna perceive me. It's about how people are gonna perceive themselves when I get what I cuando yo doy lo que al final tengo que terminar dando. So
Mm-hmm.
that was amazing. That was beautiful. That was like that eso me ayudó mucho como a just like burst the bubble.
I think that's so beautiful that you said that because a lot of and it kind of sucks as well, right? Because a lot of the great music that you hear kind of derives from the pain of it all, right? Like we see it with Mary J. Blige, we see it with I mean there's so La India, like there's so many artists out there that like they take their pain and they just put it in that song and it just becomes so relatable because at the end of the day we're all kind of going through the same thing, so to speak, right?
Yes.
Like we all have some sort of pain that we're battling with, right? So when I heard that song, I was like, oh. And when I hear your music, I'm like, como se vale calor, right? Like I'm like chilling. And then I heard that song and I'm like, wait, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, hold on. So it was a different, like, you know what I'm saying, moment, but it was such a special moment for me to like kind of embrace. Like it showed a different side of you,
Yeah,
right?
because everything shouldn't be that serious. Like life isn't that serious.
Yeah.
So, and after Good Enough, I was like, you know what? I need this. I need to now the antithesis of this, segment.
Yes.
Um, and that's the cool thing about music that, it's a craft that you
Yes.
make and you do whatever you want. And al final la vida tiene todos los tipos de matices que puedan existir. So what's the problem? What's the problem of just representing something so casual, like the weather, and just like the las ganas que también como que como la gente vive a season, una temporada como es el verano, so much party going on,
Yes.
so much like la gente está frenética, la gente está como que
Mm-hmm.
la gente está bullosa. So,
Yes.
that's part of it. That's part of it. So, you can only, no solamente se le puede rendir un homenaje a lo más profundo que nos sucede. Also, the most
Mm-hmm.
basic stuff is the best stuff.
Yes. Yes. What advice would you give someone who's currently like going through something and just desperately wanting to get to the other side of it?
I'd say
Because you're
don't.
recovered, right? Like you're kind of like healed, right? Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that if you feel uneasy, I mean, that's a sign that you're not numbed, and that you're not like, some sort of ser inerte que simplemente como que no le impacta nada lo que le sucede. The mere fact that you're feeling a certain way it's a sign that you're even regulating. So
Mm,
let it be, just like I'm not gonna tell like no te desesperes, pero sí, no te desesperes porque it's gonna take the time that it's gonna take and it'll pass. And just give yourself, um, I mean, first of all, in terms of practical ways, just find some activity that helps you be distracted, especially if it's something that connects you with people, community. I think that community is something super super precious, super important in terms of like salirte un poco de ti mismo. I'd recommend, I don't know, even like apuntarte en una clase de baile, de salsa, gimnasio, CrossFit, anything, whatever, lo que sea que te haya llamado la atención, even an instrument, whatever. Just keep yourself busy. Um, Also, I love to watch like YouTube videos of,
yes.
self improvement, mental health, video essays of and anything and any related subject. You can find so much community also. You can find so many people that are dealing with the same situation that you're dealing with. And just like, be patient and o sea, no te des tanto latigazo, ¿tú me entiendes? And also be
Mm-hmm.
like, tómate un tiempo de gracia en el sentido de que
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we are too hard on ourselves when we are dealing with hard situations. And it's like, yeah, you can be, maybe you can like do whatever you feel like, but if you feel like even like eating a bucket of ice cream is gonna serve you something, just freaking do it whenever.
Yes.
It's not the time
Eat the
to
ice
be like,
cream.
you're not yourself. You're not yourself. And accept that. This is not gonna stay for your entire life. So I mean, it is what it freaking is. It's not like, even even me saying this and giving, o sea, it's not like, oh, estas son las pautas que te van a ayudar, o sea, lo que sea que te, because it's so random sometimes what works for para cada quien. So the fact that you're consciente about it and knowing that it's gonna pass and sometimes it's gonna take more
Hmm.
time que otras, quizás comparando con, no sé, con otro momento que quizás tuviste una situación similar u otra persona, pero it's gonna pass. And just do what you gotta do. Y so surround yourself of, have some distraction.
Agreed. Agreed. Let's get into this U.S. tour. What was the feeling? Were you doing splits, by the way? Like you not now you know I have to ask. I'm like, was she doing some splits at this U.S. tour? Like, what's the vibes?
Oh my God, I saw a photo of Chapel Roan doing a split. I'm like, oh, I need to do my split. I forget.
You
I
gotta,
can do a split. I split,
you
girl.
gotta do the split.
And I'm like, I
You gotta do the
forget about
split.
that. I don't know. Oh my God, that the tour, I was so afraid beforehand. I was like, oh my
Really?
God, what the fuck? Because I'm the kind of person that I'm like, yes, let's do it. And then after I say yes, like evaluate whatever I said yes, and then I'm like, what the hell? How am I gonna do this? So, tour life has been one of the things that I've been most afraid of my profession in general terms since I started. I've always been super attached to my roots, my country, whatever you can call it. Um, so I was like, oh man, when this gets to happen, I'm gonna be so anxious. I'm gonna be so sad. And then obviously, things, una cosa te prepara para la otra. Like things don't happen from 1 to 100. So
No.
you go from 1 to 10 to maybe 15 and everything was super gradual. So obviously this opportunity came up and I wasn't afraid as I was like years ago, but obviously those feelings came up, they just like kind of say, hey, hi, I'm here again. And I'm like, damn, what the hell? And also, I had my reasons because I was going by myself. I had a tour manager, but I wasn't going with my band. Um,
Mm.
so I was just like, doing it with instrumentals, which is like super, it's a very common format, but it's not what I'm used to. And also, Monsieur Periné, which was the band that I opened the que hice de telonera has this like super incredible band. So I was like, damn, I'm gonna feel so small comparing to them. But
Yeah.
something that has helped me a lot, and when I feel like that, when I feel like I'm, when I'm feeling insecure, is that you don't get somewhere just because es una casualidad. Tú no estás aquí, nadie llega a los sitios de casualidad. Like that doesn't exist. Obviously, it can be a
Hmm.
factor, but para que for the luck to work, you need to be working. So I was like, damn, I need to just know that I'm here because I've owned this. It's not like I started
Hmm.
yesterday. So I was like, you know what? At the end of it all, al que yo le guste, le gustaré. Y al que yo no le iba a gustar, al que no le guste tampoco le iba a gustar. O sea, I can, ese no es ese no es mi trabajo, es hacer simplemente lo que yo sé hacer en la tarima y pues la gente que lo reciba como lo tenga que recibir. And I was like,
Hmm.
you know what? I'm gonna also, because I don't have the opportunity to have tantos shows consecutivos. So I was like, I'm gonna take this as a training. And damn,
Hmm.
it was amazing. Even like playing good enough, for example. It was a new song, so I wasn't I only like I've only performed it like once. And when you release a song and you start performing it, the first, it's hard because especially if the song has a lot of post production and stuff like that, and you don't have the time to rearrange some, vocal stops, you gotta like sometimes you feel intimidated. And
Right.
sometimes during the set, good enough was like maybe too slow, not too slow, but it was like all my songs were like and then good enough is was like and I'm like, you know what?
Mhm.
The first like couple of shows I felt uncomfortable singing it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing it. And I had the chance to like to remove it from the set because yo lo voy a hacer. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
just keep performing it until I feel like. And at the end of the whole tour, I remember that the best content, the best video that they recorded of me was singing good enough. I'm like, damn, see that.
So good.
So it
So
was
good.
amazing. It was so, so nice to like break that barrier and just like not giving a fuck in, in terms of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, going to somewhere new, if they don't know me, whatever. I'm just here to do what I do, you know, para hacer lo que sé hacer. Y el hecho de que lo puedo hacer, de que realmente puedo practicar y como que entrenar, ponerme en práctica, poner la práctica en práctica.
Hmm.
It's amazing.
We're we're in August now. The summer's going by fast, but also the year, right, is going by fast as well. Like where are you with this year? What's coming up for you? And then where do you want to be? Like where do you see yourself going? How far are we going to take this?
Okay, so this year I still have one more single to go. I wish it's two singles, but I don't know, maybe it's one. I'm working right now on my album is ready actually. My first album, my debut album, and I really, really, really see myself like, releasing it on 2025. Maybe I don't know, finishing it on 2026. And I see myself, I do, I first of all, being ser una mujer plena y feliz is my top. Eh, Mientras esté viviendo de mi voz, para mí eso es lo más
Hmm.
importante. Pero sí, realmente one of the things that I que me da mucha ilusión y que I really hope for is like be playing on romper el techo de aquí y estar tocando en festivales fuera de mi país y estar representando la cultura caribeña, la cultura de la fusión musical en otros escenarios donde realmente no, donde quizás no se ha podido como apreciar la variedad de artistas como yo que existen en este territorio.
Let me tell you what I see. I feel like another tour is coming. I don't know why I see this, but I see this for you. I
I,
do. And for some reason, I feel like singing is not the only thing for you. I could be
no,
wrong, but I feel like you have, I don't know, I'm seeing acting. I don't
I
know,
love
maybe I'm
acting.
wrong.
I
Okay,
love acting.
okay. I just didn't want to be delusional about it, but I see something like else here. I
I
do.
love it.
I do.
Actually, I thought I was gonna end up being an actress before like music came up. Actually,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
so
I
good.
thought I love it. I mean, I don't know if I'd be that good, but I think I
I
love
think
it.
you're going to
I
be
like.
amazing. I see it.
Oh, I will
I promise
mm,
you.
manifestando desde ya, and I really want to go play in Europe. I really want to have a tour in Europe.
I
So
love
so
this for
much.
you. I love
Yeah.
this for you.
Oh.
All right, let's get into my rapid fire. These are always fun. So I'm
Okay.
just gonna ask you, you're gonna answer. Don't even think about it. Kind of think about it a little bit, but don't put too much thought into it. You
All right.
ready?
Ready.
Okay. Tell me you're Latina without telling me you're Latina.
No me hable mucho. Don't talk to me if I'm hungry. Like, don't mess
Okay.
with me.
Okay. What is something you would want to work on that you haven't already?
Um, well, something that I haven't worked on. Maybe like, my God, I don't know because maybe the acting stuff. Yeah, the acting stuff. But I'm kind of like working on it, so I can't say that I am not working on it. But yeah, that maybe.
Okay. Okay. What's your favorite Latin dish?
La bandera. That'd be arroz, habichuela, carne, plátano maduro, aguacate, y ya,
Okay. What's one thing you need in the morning?
coffee. Like coffee and water. Water and then coffee.
Me too. I'm the same way. I'm like water and then my coffee.
Yes.
Um, what's this question kind of always trips people out, but I love to ask it anyway.
Okay.
What's one movie that made you cry with laughter? Like it was so funny that you cried. Like you was hysterically laughing. You actually cried.
There are many. When I was like
Yeah.
young, I was so obsessed with Austin Powers Gold Member, the one that Beyonce is in it. Also Rush Hour 2 and also Wedding Crashers. Yeah, they were
Yes.
super funny for me.
Okay. What does it mean to you to be Latina?
Means it means resilience. It means that my narrative, my diversity needs to be showcased everywhere I go. And yeah, it means also efervescencia, de una manera u otra.
Yes. What are three ways that you exude confidence?
Smiling.
Hmm.
Also la mirada, mirar a la gente a los ojos, always like
Hmm.
engaging in the other person.
Hmm.
And also, yeah, como also lo mismo de las miradas, pero también como en el diálogo, like
Hmm.
knowing how to listen. It's not about me,
Yes.
it's about
Very important. If you had the opportunity to have the Last Supper with three Latinas, dead or alive, who
oh
would
my
they be?
God. Okay. Um, Celia Cruz.
Love, listen,
Um,
everyone, by the way, everyone says that. Like, I literally love her, and everyone gives that answer. That's like the first person they go to.
oh my God,
Literally,
La
everyone
Lupe.
loves her.
Then La Lupe. La Lupe was
Yes,
amazing. I think that La
yes,
India could be like the actual like it reminds me so much of La Lupe, her interpretation. Okay,
yes,
so I'd say Celia Cruz. Yeah, por
yes.
algo la mencionan tanto. She's amazing.
Hmm.
Maybe Caliucci. And
Yes.
then the other Latina could be her. Oh my God, there's so many. I don't want to like pick the one. Maybe Milly Cruz, the key.
Okay. What is this chapter of your life called?
Yeah. Um, it's called Voltaje.
Yes. Finish this sentence. Growing up Latina is.
Growing up Latina is chaotic.
I can see that. I can see, not so bad. The questions weren't that bad. Final question. If you had one message or just something that you want to tell your fans, what would it be?
Okay, no, okay. Some one message. It's not that important. What you're overthinking, actually, you know, not that nobody cares, but people people can care for like 1 minute and they forget. So you do you.
I
That's
literally
right.
love you. Thank you so much for coming on the
Oh,
show.
thank
I'm so
you.
happy we were able to make this happen, and I can't wait till you come back to New York because either I'm going over there to DR or you're coming to New York, but we have to link up
Oh,
in person for sure.
oh, thank you so much for having me. It was so nice talking.
Yes, let everybody know where they can find you, drop your social media and all that good stuff.
So everywhere, you can find me anywhere as Letón Pé, Letonpe, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, same thing. Easy, easy.
Thank you, Letón Pé, everybody. Thank you so much.